Welcome to No Middle Ground. I'm Kevin Winkler. I'll be your host today. On today's episode, we want to thank you for joining us as we talk about news, commentary, and prophetic insight. Seems to be a lot going on this last week in the news. If you take a look just about every time you turn on the news or hear any kind of, little taglines or little clickbaits or whatever coming across your phone, is death and destruction and doom and all those kinds of things. That are just filling the airwaves in our current culture, in our current political environment. That's what it looks like. However, for those of y'all that have been keeping up with the real news of heaven, the real prophetic insight, God is doing a great big work in our land in the United States of America, which ultimately will affect the rest of the world. And so today in my prayer time, this is being recorded on Friday the 19th, I was walking around in my prayer time after spending some very intimate time with the Lord, and I got this candy bar. I don't know if you can see this. I don't know where I got this from. Somebody gave this to me, and I had this before the election in 2020, our last election, and it's a delicious chocolate bar. It's like we're going to be eating this on inauguration night, inauguration day, and of course we know what happened on the 20th. Things didn't turn out the way we wanted them to turn out, but did they? There was something I want to share with you in regards to what happened on the election on the 6th of January, then on the 20th and stuff like that. One of the things that's come to mind during all this time is that if everything would have worked out on the 20th, November 3rd, 4th. If that would have worked out real easy, cut and dry, and everything would be where our true president who is the president, who would be in office or would be at the White House right now, if that would have come out just right with no problems, do you realize that he still wouldn't know who was on his side and who was not on his side? Do you realize all the players that were involved in Congress and his White House and all these different areas, that he didn't know whether we're really on his side or not? Well, all of those people have come to the surface now, so they're all identified. You know what I mean? And so if God wouldn't allow this to go this direction and show us the depth of the depravity in our Congress, we would not know these things. If He would not have shown us the depth of depravity of the judicial system not stepping in as they should, we would not know the depth of the corruption that's there, especially in the Supreme Court of the United States, and of course those in the White House. So, all that to say, I didn't get to eat this on January 20th, but you want to know something? God is not changing His mind. I've been keeping up with the prophetic insight, my own from the Lord. You can go to our website and you can look over at www.thechurchalive.com. Go to the resource page, go to Pastor's blog. I think everything's up to date. If not, we'll have our associate get everything that's on there that's current. And you'll see kind of this theme that's going on this last 2020, which was a year of clear vision for all of us. This is when I really realized and understood the office that God has called me into. I really saw that, and now, of course, it started kind of from there. Kind of really, it's like I came out of the blue, came out of like nowhere, and here we are. And so, if you've been keeping up with the prophetic insight, we know the real news report of heaven is that President Donald Trump, is God's appointed. He has been appointed for this hour. Things will work out. God will bring this to a head. God will bring whom He has chosen. He will put him back in the White House. He will cause there to be a massive shift in all of this. God can do more in a few hours than we can do in years and years. So all these bad stuff from the fraudster who's sitting in the White House right now, all that's fraud, all that's deception, all that's deceit, and we should never, ever call that person the P words, capital P, or give honor, or give submission, or give anything to illegitimate. God is not with those people. We've got to work through those people, and He's going to work through everybody that's headed for destruction, just like He'll work through people that are in the kingdom of God. It's not a matter of will God work through you? It's a matter of what side you will be on. And here on No Middle Ground, we understand that you're either on God's side or you're on the enemy side. There is no middle ground. There's none. There's no little, well, I don't know. You got to pick a side. And so here it is, already the 19th of March. And as I was going in there, I happened to look up. This is in my living room, up on the slid over on the Blu-ray player kind of thing, kind of out of sight, out of mind. And I kind of, as I was praying and spending that time, I looked over there. It's like, I'm going to eat that candy bar. It's like, I'm still going to get to eat that candy bar. And that's the Lord reassuring. And again, I'm going to get to eat this candy bar. And I'm going to do it online. I'm going to do it where everybody can kind of see that too. I said I wasn't going to eat this until President Donald Trump is reinaugurated again. That's God's appointed. God himself will put him in place. God is working all things out. And his prophetic word has always been, for years now, you can go back to look at some of Mark Taylor's stuff and some of Timothy Dixon's stuff, all these prophetic words as well. There is an exposure of corruption that God is... People did not know how bad our society is. God needs us to see how bad it is so we can be a little bit more thoughtful with our votes, a little bit more thoughtful of the policies that are going on. And that's part of this, because Jesus might not be ready to come back yet, and so we have to be ready for the fact that we might be here a little longer than we thought. Would we like Jesus to just come on back and get us off this planet and take us on to heaven? Of course. To be away from God, is to be here on earth is away from our home, away from God. But while we're here, we might as well be fruitful in our service for the Lord. So, we want to just do what God wants us to do. We want to stay as long as God needs us to stay. So, prophetic insight is God's in control, and He can do whatever He wants, whenever He wants to. I've talked about Noah. Timothy Dixon's talked about Noah, talked about the animal. God can do anything He wants. Many of the prophets have talked about the parting of the waters moments. Those Hebrews didn't know what they were going to do when the Egyptians came out after him, and God miraculously provided a way out. And God sent Moses, for that matter, to rescue people that were in bondage for 400 years in Egypt. So, God is in the business of sending rescuers. What's all this fuss about President Donald Trump is because he's God's appointed person. And so an entire branch of our government rests and resides in the election of one man. So God does a whole lot of stuff through people, but He wants the church to get in on this. The church is supposed to be rallying around the true. President Donald Trump won. We all know it. He won so big that I don't think, if I remember, I don't think any president has ever gotten more votes like this than President Donald Trump. But these people stole it. And so that's why we do not, if it was fair, if the fraudster name starts with a B, would have won legitimately, and it would have been no fraud, no deception, it was a fair fight, just like that one, we would not be having this conversation. We would be required by God to submit and yield. But God does not require us to yield to lies and cheating and stealing. And unfortunately, there are a lot of ministries out there that are telling their congregation, well, we lost, we might as well get on with it. Listen to me, that's wrong. I'm going to tell you, that is wrong. And if you're a church out there and you're preaching to the people that you submit to these people, you're leading your people to worship a golden calf. God is not okay with that. Go look at Aaron. Aaron was the pastor of the people, the high priest of the people. Back when Moses went up on the mountainside, and while he was delayed a little while, the people started complaining about, we don't know about this man Moses, where he's went to, and all this kind of stuff. And Aaron, make us an idol, make us a golden calf to lead us. And Aaron listened to him. He was the pastor. He listened to the people and had them worship that. And so we know the end of the story. Listen, don't lead your people to worship a golden calf. If there was a legitimate thing here, God's not with these people. We're not praying for the success of those in Washington right now, the illegitimate ones. The only people we're praying for success for is the legitimately won people. Third world countries have legitimate elections, legitimate people win, and then the dictator or whoever that's the thief tries to stay in power when the legitimate president is waiting and waiting and waiting to be reinstalled. Here we are experiencing that in America because we got a bunch of socialist communists that have worked their way into our systems. And you want to know where that stuff is? Parents, listen up. It would be better for your child to flip hamburgers for the rest of their life and stay godly and stay on the right side than it would be to go get some degree in some traditional college where it's a breeding ground, a cesspool of this Marxism, communist, nonsense garbage. Why in the world would you want to send your child and ruin the rest of their life by sending them to a college if they're not capable or knowing some apologetics and capable of resisting all that indoctrination of these people? These people are sick. These people are sick, and God needs, we don't give them any power, any credence, any nothing. It'd be better to go to a trade school. There's a lot of people in trade school making big money with little debt, little debt after school than some of these people, and they're not I don't know of any safe spaces, and the heating and AC trade school, and there's a lot of great money that could be made through all of that. So, I want to look at this real quick. This is in Isaiah chapter 40, verse 3. But those who wait for the Lord, who expect, look for, and hope in Him, shall change and renew their strength and power. They shall lift their wings and mount up close to God as eagles mount up to the sun. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint or become tired. And I'm going to take this as from the Joyce Meyer's Amplified Bible. I'll give credit for that. This is our little life point here. I want to share that with you. Quietly waiting on God, spending time alone with Him and in prayer and worship or Bible reading, as Isaiah 40:31 encourages us, does more to restore our bodies, minds, and emotions than anything else we can do. We need to do this regularly, and I encourage you to insist on quiet time. What am I saying? I'm going to read that again. I urge you to insist on quiet time with God. Do not let anyone take those consecrated moments from you. In those times, God empowers you to face everything you need to do with renewed physical and emotional and spiritual strength. And I had a big dose of that again this morning in my prayer time too. It's like that quiet time with God helps us to think. It also helps us to hear from God. So if you have a prophetic gift, or you have God speaking to you and trying to help you help the people, in the prophetic office is not so we can go, look at me. It's to help people. It's to help encourage people so they don't give up and quit. And also, God uses these offices, this prophetic insight, to help people make it during these times when we don't know what's going on except for what God is saying. Amen. And so we hope that you keep your eyes to the real news. Keep your eyes to the real news. If you've never subscribed to andweknow.com, you can go there. Some great information there on that site. A lot of insight on news too, not necessarily from a prophetic insight, but some great stuff there as well. And as always, if you're whatever channel you're watching this on, whatever platform you're watching on, if this was helpful at all to you, could you like, subscribe, share, pass it around? If you want to help, that's a great way to help. Amen. All right, well, let's pray, and I'll release you to go. Thank you for joining again for No Middle Ground. Father, thank you so much for these people that are joining in. God, I ask you to help them, watch over them, keep us keeping on. Those who wait for the Lord will renew their strength. Those who wait on the Lord are going to renew their strength. Lord, help us to wait on you so we can hear correctly and get the real inside news and scoop from heaven. We love you. We thank you. In Jesus' name. God bless.
Ooh.